Oh, Jerry Maria. You remember Jerry? Steve? Remember Jerry?
Oh.
Do you guys want more space? I don't, Michael's not here. How would pull out a chair?
Sure.
That's good.
Okay.
I was like, where is she?
You never thought get what that safety is.
Michael's right there.
Who's got,
He does?
you
Okay.
have the controls for the button,
Yeah, the controls for,
the 5-minute button.
I don't know actually. No, where is it? I don't think it's even on. I think we'll just have to.
Renee, like.
Oh, I bet it's that thing right there, right? It's got like a
The 5-minute button.
5-minute button.
We're gonna use our phones.
I don't think
Who's
we.
got it? You're going to use your phone.
Yes.
So not, so the lights are not.
Lights will not work, but you can just give verbal,
That's fine. We'll make it work.
you want me to just do it, or do you want to be in charge of it?
Why don't I signal? I mean, we'll keep reasonably close to it, but I don't want to cut people off on this too much. So, yes, 5 minutes. Yeah, that would be good. If you'd like to do that, that would be perfect, actually. Yes, that would be fine. That would be fine. Michael, welcome. Long time no see. Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're a couple of seconds past 6 o'clock, so I think we can get started. Probably should get started. We have an agenda, but before I get to the agenda, I have a couple of items that I'm going to say are 0 before we get to 1. The first one is that I'd like to congratulate Renee on her appointment as the Planning and Building Director for the town.
Thank you.
I want that on the record.
I said thank you.
We've always been very grateful for the level of effort and the way in which you've helped the Planning Commission in the past, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say we look forward to working with you in the future. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
The second item is the way that we should conduct this, a little bit of administrative items on how we should conduct this meeting. I left each of you with a copy of how public hearings are supposed to work. In the past, when we've only had small meetings, or they haven't been very controversial, we've kind of wandered away from this primarily in terms of when we ask questions and when we have discussions and items like that. Given the subject of this evening's discussion, I think I'd like to try and stick more closely, in fact, stick quite closely to the way the public hearing is supposed to work. Okay. Having said that, I'd like to call to order a meeting, special meeting. I think this is actually a regular meeting of the Planning Commission. The first item on the agenda is a roll call.
Chairman Harper,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn. Here. Commissioner Whitty,
Here.
Commissioner Barnes,
Here.
Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
Commissioner Mojo,
Here.
Commissioner Gross, Commissioner Shanahan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of our last meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve them?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. I think we probably need a roll call on that, don't we?
Chairman Harper,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Whitty,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Mojo,
Yes.
Commissioner Shanahan.
Yes.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, although it's not actually on the agenda, would normally be for us to ask for public comment on any item that's not on the agenda.
Yep.
I think I'd like to proceed with doing that. Is there anybody who wants to make comments on an item that's not related to the rezoning amendment this evening? We'll be having a public hearing on that, at which time you will be able to make comments on it. But if there's anybody here who wants to make a comment on a different subject, this would be the time to do it. Not seeing anybody in town hall. If there is anybody online who would like to make a comment on something that's not related to the rezoning amendment, please raise your hand or use the raise hand symbol. Going once, going twice, gone. Okay.
What's her name?
The next item on the agenda is the reason I think we're all here this evening, which is to hear for the public hearing on a PD amendment for rezoning Town 15 in Rock Creek PD to Open Space and Recreational District OS/-R. Okay, I will open the public hearing. Is there proof of publication?
Yes.
Okay. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Do the lights.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good evening, commissioners and everyone who's here this evening. My name is Renee Stavros. I'm the Planning and Building Director officially for the town of Superior. This evening, we are going to be discussing the amendment to rezone Town 15 from the PD CAC, what does that stand for? It's in here somewhere. Community Activity Center to Open Space Recreational District. The Town 15 property is located on the northeast corner of Colton Road and McCaslin Boulevard. It's shown here outlined in red. It's called Town 15 because it is 15 acres, more or less. The current zoning of this property is the planned development. It's part of the Rock Creek Ranch planned development, and it's zoned Community Activity Center. Adjacent properties are zoned to the east, part of Rock Creek PD, as open space to the north, or sorry, to the east, PD open space, to the northeast, PD residential, to the west, kind of northwest, is Boulder County open space land that's zoned agricultural. To the southwest, it's open space natural in the town, and to the south is PD open space, part of the, what is that? My brain isn't working. Calmonte, thank you. The current zoning for Community Activity Center has a variety of uses. associated with it. It allows kind of what the what the zoning designation says. It's community size and it's community scale, banking, medical, dental, professional offices, restaurants, cafes, post office, municipal services such as police, fire stations, and emergency response. The maximum building coverage per lot for this zoning designation is 40% with a maximum height of 60 feet, and it requires 20% open space as part of a development plan. The proposed zoning of Open Space and Recreational District, OSR, has permitted uses including utilities, parks, restoration and reclamation of natural habitat, signage, flood control improvements, and unpaved maintenance roads. Allows conditional use reviews, which would go before Planning Commission and the town board for any additional structures such as clubhouses for golf courses, veterinary clinics, public recreation facilities, places of worship, dog parks, shelters. Also allows swimming pools, athletic fields, basketball courts, tennis courts, and the rest of the list in front of you. It allows for 1-story, 25-foot structures, maximum height. The list on the right side of the screen goes into some greater details regarding setbacks from front, side, and rear property lines. The town code for rezoning a property says that the town shall consider whether the proposed rezoning furthers the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan and any other appropriate approved plans. In particular, the town shall consider whether the adoption of the proposed amendment or rezoning would necessitate a comprehensive plan amendment. As you all know, we're going through a comprehensive plan update currently, but the 2012 comprehensive plan did look at this particular property. It called out the goal of preferred land uses for this site as commercial and office, potentially community-oriented uses. Section 4.6 talks about the relationship to adjacent uses, which is what the map kind of here shows. Specifically, it talks about buffering from the adjacent residential to the northeast and having different access points, one off of McCaslin or perhaps off of Colton. This is really meant to show that the contemplated uses may be slightly different than what we're looking at this evening, but the use of the property and buffering it from adjacent residential and using the parks and open space surrounding it was considered as part of the comprehensive plan update. So maintaining portions of this property in accordance with what we are proposing this evening was contemplated as part of this plan. Furthermore, the 2021 PROS master plan looked at 3 different scenarios for parks and open space use on this property. There was general support for developing a park without athletic field lighting, keeping athletic fields interior to the park, not along McCaslin. Multi-purpose fields are favored over diamond or baseball fields. And incorporation of all-ability playground was supported, and they wanted to ensure that there was a wildlife corridor that was maintained between the adjacent open space uses to the west and east and south. The town assessor's website notes the assessed value and actual value for the property. The town of Superior purchased the lot at that time referred to as Richmond 15 for $1,200,000. The funds were made from the general fund reserve. So the pros that they talked about at the time of purchase were that it provided the town with ownership of a strategic piece of property, preserving maximum flexibility for the town to use or develop in the future. And the con was that we were required to use general fund reserves in order to purchase the property. So the assessed value currently is $8,666,763, and the actual value is just shy of $30 million, according to the Boulder County Assessor's website, if you do a property search for the property. As part of this application, it was requested that we look into varying scenarios and provide an economic development review and a fiscal summary for different land uses that are possible on the site or that have been conceived of in the past. So staff came up with 3 different scenarios. The first one is a 58 unit, single unit dwellings, residential on the 15 acres, spread across the 15 acres. The other one is a mixed-use development scenario, which includes a 50-unit apartment complex and 7,500 square feet of inline retail. And then the third scenario was to maintain this property as open space, where sometime in the much later future, we may look to build a rec center or a library, but it remains as open space and nothing immediate that the town has, in line for this particular property at this time. So the economic development review was in your packet. And the fiscal impact summary for scenario 1 is on the screen now. It assumed 58 single unit residential units for one-time revenues. When you look at one-time revenues, that's like tap fees and things like that. $3.5 million in ongoing reserve revenues, $55,000 a year. Scenario 2 had one-time revenues of $1.1 million and ongoing revenues of $65,000 a year. And then scenario 3 remains as it is today for now. The staff recommendation is to approve or recommend approval of the open space recreation based on resident interest in civic public uses. The most flexible open space and park civic use allowance is the OSR. This allows us to maintain the ability to build something in the future. It would come to you all and the board for approval if and when that happens. If you find the application meets the criteria for rezoning, there's a resolution recommending approval to the town council for rezoning the application. That's the legal name, Tract A, Rock Creek Ranch Filing 15, from PD to Open Space Recreation. That is everything, so.
Are you ready for questions, Renee?
I am ready for questions.
Okay. Who would like to ask Renee a question? Go ahead.
Renee, let me skip ahead to a slide that had the fiscal impact, because, not that one, the next. Yes, this one. I have a question. Could you please repeat what you said about the one-time revenues and the ongoing revenues, what those mean?
So one-time revenues are like
Building
like
Fees?
building fees and system development fees, like water and sewer taps and things like that. We get those payments one time at the time of development. And then ongoing revenues are like taxes and things like that that we can expect from the development.
Okay. As a follow-up question, in coming up with these three scenarios, to what extent did the staff look at the viability of scenarios 1 and 2 with regard to the actual building of single-family residential or apartment units?
So the two scenarios are scenarios that we've seen. So 58 units of single unit residential was what was was brought to the then town board by the Richmond American Homes. So we used that because that was something that was proposed at one time for the property. And then scenario 2, mixed use development, is a combination of an apartment complex that's relatively small and 7,500 square feet of retail, which is a fairly minimal square footage of retail space that would allow for other uses of, open space and parks and stuff on the property, as well as those things. So it's a mixed use development that's lower impact.
But these are concepts.
Correct.
Not necessarily, let me say it differently. The staff didn't really look at whether the property itself could be developed for these scenarios 1 and 2. It only looked at previous history and square footage, so to speak.
I'm
We're not
unclear of your question, but I think
Well-
the answer is yes. We took reasonable, possible development scenarios for the property that are, that,
I'm not calling the staff on question. I'm just looking at it, and these are concepts.
Yeah.
But they're not really market studies.
no, not at all. They were, how many single-family residential units are, could kind of fit with other things. So you could fit far more single-unit residential units on the property, but this was something that was proposed in the past that was, fairly, it still allowed for the buffer, like the things in the comprehensive plan that it called out, buffers on the north side and things like that. And that was denied at the time, but it was what we used for a scenario because it fit on the site for a low density single unit development. And then scenario 2 was something that's a little bit more dense, but would take up less area on the property. We weren't trying to do something that was extreme as a scenario because we wanted to find scenarios that seemed reasonable should the property not go open space. So that was kind of the impetus for the
Great.
scenarios.
Thank
Yeah.
Amanda,
It seems like in these scenarios, the town would also be selling the land to a developer for 30 million. So you would also get that as a one-time revenue, right?
I don't know. So it depends on how, possibly, but not necessarily. I don't know how that works. The town could develop some things, but I guess to answer your question, probably, we would look to a developer to purchase.
My next question is, these don't include affordable housing, which the town would then.
Well, they could. So that's why I don't think you would. So we didn't want to put that as a number in there because 1, it varies, and 2, it's not because the town owns it. We could get some, or we could provide incentives to developers to do what we want with it.
Okay.
So it's not a guaranteed actual value of the land now or in the future. So that's why that's not considered as part of this. Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question?
Well,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
have more if it's not on this slide.
Go for it.
I've got one on this slide. In scenario 3, you also don't have anything in here on the recreation center about the cost of that,
Correct.
because that's a significant outlay to the community if
So-
we decided to do that.
Right now, we don't have funds to do that, which is kind of why it's, the scenario is it kind of stays what it is for now until the town determines if we want to find funding to do something in the future, or we want to plan to do something in the future. So it assumes nothing for now.
Right, but if we put, let's say we put, like you talked about in the other slides, sports field, recreation fields, that's all on the town's dime.
It would
Right.
be in the future, yes.
Right, okay. I think it would, to me, that would be nice to see if that's going to be a potential use of it, to understand, are we talking $1 million? Are we talking $5 million?
Well, part of that would be, those numbers are very unknown because we don't know what will be proposed for those things. You know, a
But you
pool
made
is
a sum-
significantly more expensive than, a shelter or a park.
Right, but you made assumptions about the number of homes, the number of apartments.
Sure.
All I'm saying is, it seems a little one-sided looking at it without having that. And I agree with Amanda's comment that not having the sales price of the land in there is really misleading, in my opinion. Because there should be one of these scenarios that says we sell it. If we want to do, if one of them wants to be affordable housing, then I think that'd be a great scenario to include in this, then that should be in here. But not having that value of the land when it's as large as potentially it is, it seems misleading to me. So.
I'd like to go back to the previous slide before Amanda takes us forward. Which I think were, sorry, 2 slides back, the one where it had the 20 to 30 million. I mean, in principle, it looks like the town could monetize this fairly easily by selling it. Maybe not for the whole 30 million, but maybe for something close to it. Do you know if the town has done, I mean, does the town have a list of alternative projects to this that it could spend money on? I mean, it would seem that, for instance, the update on the transportation plan has a lot of recommendations for improving pedestrian and cyclist safety. I don't know what else the town might be considering. Do you know if the town has a list of projects that it's considered for which it would like to have funds available for investment?
So that is something that the council will consider when they review it. From the planning commission's perspective, it should be based on the land uses that are proposed and the land uses that exist and those potential scenarios, and less about what the monetary value of the land could be for alternative developments. That's not to say that I mean, obviously it's in here because it's an important thing for you all to understand as part of the review of the land use piece of it. But the council will have to weigh the things that you're talking about. So the answer is yes to your question. There are a list of things, but that's what they'll talk about and discuss in further detail. I don't want to go
Sure.
into way down in the weeds
No.
on that.
We're not here to make that decision for them. Thank you. Okay, do we want to move on?
Yeah. This might be a quick question. So you keep on talking about rezoning this thing as like one big chunk and keeping it together. Is there a possibility of splitting it up and rezoning parts? Like you could, in one scenario would be that you do a strip of open space and then the rest could be rezoned something different.
Sure, if that's something that we look at in the future when we go to do a park, we would do a plan, like a site development plan, and bring you, like, you would have to do a conditional use review. We would bring a site development plan.
We can't do that right now.
But like, the item for this evening is whether you want to rezone the entirety of the property. So right now, it's all one piece, it's one lot. And so we're reviewing it and looking at it as though it's one lot. So
Okay.
what a subdivision would be what you're talking about, and it would come through you and town council in the future if we decided we wanted to do something like that. It's not like, it's possible to do that. And obviously, if you developed the lot, or if a developer came in, they would do that. But that's, again, not what we're looking at this evening. We would be rezoning the entirety of the property.
I have a question about that. Town 15 has actually had the same zoning for over 30 years. Why is it so urgent to change it now when we are actually doing a comprehensive plan upgrade, which will consider some of these issues in much more detail?
Sure. The council requested to review this application as an ordinance to rezone the property based on community feedback that they've heard and seen over the last many years. And the timing of it, because we're going through the comprehensive plan, kind of came to a forefront in order to ensure that the voices of the people who have been vocal in the past and are currently vocal are still, that their voices are being heard. So the item is to review whether or not it makes sense. The comprehensive plan, we're not removing that. It still remains a viable piece of developable property, even as open space recreation. We'd still want to look at it to see what uses make sense for the property in the future.
Once a piece of property has been zoned open space, are you aware of any instance in which it's been rezoned for any kind of development afterwards?
So did you have a chance to look at? Okay, so it's not, okay. Okay, sorry, I wanted to verify something before I answer that question. So the town charter that was approved this year doesn't specify any differentiation between open space. It just calls open space. So by rezoning this property to open space recreation, in order to rezone the property in the future, it will have to go to a vote by residents of the town. So it would have to be voted on by residents, not approved by council. That being said, development of the property in accordance with the rules of the open space recreational designation could move forward. So, doing all of the permitted or conditional or special uses that are listed in the cover memo are still permissible under the proposed zoning.
But none of the value that might be achieved by making it residential could be gained from that zoning.
That's correct. So residential is not permitted in the OSR zone district.
One of the things that wasn't covered quite in your memo was how many acres of open space does the town have at the moment?
The number of acres, I'm not exactly sure. There's 40% of the town, more or less, is open space. We're just under 40%, depending on how you consider open space. We have a whole map of open space. So the Rock Creek Ranch PD has a lot of property that is designated as open space. So if you include our designated natural open space, all of the parks in town, all of the open space throughout Rock Creek and other plan developments in town, we're close to 40%. before this.
Thank you. Are you saying you know the answer to that question?
40%.
Yes. I added it up off one of the PROS worksheets in the town website, and I got just over 800 acres, which I think is about 40% of the town. Okay, moving along. Do we have any other questions? Oh, you've got Anne, carry on.
So Renee, I know this land was purchased with money from the general fund. As a concept, would it be possible to seek open space funding, much like we did we bought Coyote Ridge with some combination of superior open space money and funds from other counties and other entities? Would there be any option to seek funding to basically buy this land for some sort of a land swap so that the town would get money for some money, maybe not the whole $30 million, but some funds for this land, and then be able to develop affordable housing or other town priorities on another property?
So could we feasibly do that right now? No, we don't have money in the open space fund in order to purchase the property. However, the open space fund goes to purchase land designated for open space natural and not for open space recreation. Conceivably in the future, could we, rezone it to open space natural using open space funds? Should open space funds become available? That's a possibility.
Can I piggyback on your question? But the uses that are permitted at open space recreational are capable of grant funding for those uses. In other words, for ball fields, for rec center, those are possibilities of grant funding.
Absolutely.
OSR.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we could get grant funding in order to build town facilities and go through all of the required public hearing processes to do so.
Hell of a lot easier getting those kinds of grant funds than grant funds for single-family homes. Never mind, that was a snarky point.
Question.
It wasn't a question either. No, I don't retract it. It was just snarky.
Okay,
Wait,
you've got a question. Oh, carry on.
I've got a question too.
Oh, you've got a question.
I have a
Amanda-
question.
Amanda
Should I let
first.
you go first since I've had min?
Okay. Mine's about the 2021 PROS master plan. And in that study, there were two options. One was an option A, and there was a B, and C, right? Which involved various ball fields. But option A, which was the most popular, was open space / undeveloped, right?
I believe you're right. I don't know which one was A, B, and C. That one of them was that, and yes, it was.
It wasn't
the-
just open space, because I voted for that, but I voted for the undeveloped in that I wanted it bookmarked for the town later, not open space. So I just feel like here you're saying strong general support for keeping open space, but it's really open space / undeveloped for later, like
in the
in that thing. It wasn't specifically open space. If you go back and you see, I think it's option A, it's / it's not just open space. It's let's not do anything now was the, or open space, but it wasn't just. Open space. All right, I'm done. And that was kind of a rant too.
Okay, mine might be a rant too. Can you go to page 5?
What's page?
It's the staff analysis. It starts staff analysis. It's at the very beginning, I think.
Like this one?
No, keep on going. Staff, keep on going.
This is the
Oh,
beginning.
the other, no.
The other way.
Other
So you
way.
see staff analysis.
Like this one?
Or,
This.
okay, there you go.
Okay.
So, no, maybe the next one.
There is no more.
Well, where's the one that talks about the criteria for that the town shall consider whether the proposed, I mean, I'm looking at the,
It's back.
It's this up here
That's
at
it.
the top here.
okay, yeah. So when I read this, it says, that it's further the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan and any other appropriate. But then we go down to the comprehensive plan, and the comprehensive plan says where it says the preferred land uses, right, are development. It seems like we're jumping, it seems like we're not aligned with what the comprehensive plan said in 2012. And going back to someone's comment earlier, we're in the middle of doing a comprehensive plan, and to make this rezoning before we finish that seems like we put the chicken before the egg.
Steve,
But,
you have a question?
yeah, yeah, well, it says, why are we proposing this when it doesn't, to me, align with because our job is to look at this definition for rezoning, and I don't think, again, mine is, when I read this, I don't,
That's a comment, not a question.
I
You
think that
asking
would be
me
a
something?
great thing to bring back up during your guys' deliberation, because it's the right, it's the right question to ask, but it's not a question to me. It's just a question for you all to consider.
well, I think it is a question to you, because to me, this presentation is slightly towards the applicant to rezone it. It didn't, to me, it's not a pro and con I see bias in this towards getting it approved, and maybe that's what you guys are supposed to do. To me, you should put it unbiased. And like I read that, and so I'm kind of asking the question, you don't think that is the preferred, you think the preferred land use is open space?
I think that according to the comprehensive plan, the preferred land use is what it's zoned as currently. However, at the time we purchased the property, circumstances were very different, and that's what was, I guess we could go into a little bit of history, but Rock Creek Ranch was supposed to also be developed on the west side of McCaslin Boulevard. So this property was zoned under consideration of having additional residential development and other development on the west side of McCaslin Road. And so that's kind of part of why this property was kind of saved for community use, community scale commercial use. But generally, the comprehensive plan does talk about, ensuring that there's buffers to adjacent uses and, ensuring that the open space adjacent is preserved and maintained.
Mike, you've been very quiet.
So could you go back to the 3 scenarios we're looking at? I had kind of a question for mine. Want to understand how the town code applies to this. So the first option for residential development scenario. So I was looking at the town code. It's 166120, which kind of lists the schedule of requirements. So under that scenario there, it'd be single-family homes, and if the lots are less than 8,000 square feet each, the code requires that 35% of the land be open space. And then if we went to medium density residential, just because I was there, it'd be 40 to 45% open space. So am I interpreting that correctly, that of the 15 acres, then, almost half would have to be open space anyway?
As if it were developed that way, yes, we would require any development meet those requirements.
I mean, I asked that because that would be something presumably we would be reviewing later on in the comprehensive plan process as we look at what's the best option here and what's the best option for the overall community. So, yeah. Thanks.
Anne, you've been quite quiet. You have any more questions? You did ask a question. You have any more?
I think I'll wait.
Amanda.
You're not saying I've been quiet.
No.
I don't
I'm
think I
just
have any
asking.
more.
Ryan, do you have a question?
I have no questions.
Steve?
No.
No comments from Rance later.
Nope, I'm good. I've asked all my questions of the staff.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Renee. I think it's time to move on to the public comment. If you wish to make a public comment, could I please ask you to sign in on what I think is it up on the desk or is it on Breeze table? You put it on the desk. Please sign in and state your name. In principle, we'd like you to stick to 5 minutes, and our timekeeper here is absolutely ferocious.
Well, good evening. I'm Kara Noisy. I'm a resident of the town of Superior. I'm also the chair for the town's Open Space Advisory Committee, OSAC. OSAC truly appreciates that the topic of Town 15 is on your agenda this evening. We think this is exactly the right time to ask our town council to put the topic to a vote and have the parcel rezoned. That way the town's comprehensive plan, which you're working on right now, can be updated accordingly, and we won't have to seek public engagement yet again. OSAC's position argues Town 15 and its undevelopment has become vital open space land. OSAC believes Town 15 is a critical parcel to designate as permanent open space, given its location with the east-west Rock Creek ecological corridor spanning Superior, starting at Autry Park and Reservoir, continuing west through Community Park and extending into the expansive Boulder County open space. Town 15's location affords unobstructed mountain views, extensive wildlife exposure, habitat, and immediate access to miles of protected land wherein nature may truly be experienced and appreciated. OSAC recommends this parcel be rezoned as open space natural, not open space recreational. Uses other than open space natural are simply inconsistent with OSAC's mission and goals. If the town does indeed rezone the parcel as open space recreational, we ask that OSAC be able to contribute to certain conditions to ensure future recreational use on the parcel is strictly passive. While the definition of recreation may allow for it, we do not want to see any structures built on this parcel. We would also want to work with the town to ensure conditions are set in place to prevent lighting, noise, or any disruption to critical wildlife, raptor, and their habitat. Town 15 consistently ranks as the top of our open space summary report of listed acquisitions that we would like to become open space. This prioritized ranking is generated based on several factors and is reviewed annually. Again, this has been a documented position of ours for well over 10 years. In the 2021 ProStack Master Plan, over 400 households stated the preference to not have this parcel be developed, and that's Appendix D, Option A. Your presentation did primarily talk about Option B from that document. The primary one was Option A. I hope the input from that public engagement, in addition to the ones you've held over the last few months, will be considered in the town's comprehensive plan. I think it's something when a mere 60 residents can influence our town to proceed with the construction of another roundabout on Rock Creek Parkway, 60 residents. So I'm truly hopeful that the voice of hundreds who have spoken out over the years and even more recently to make Town 15 open space, I hope those voices are not dismissed. Finally, I just want to announce to all of you that might be listening that OSAC is hosting a town event in support of National Trails Day. It's this coming Saturday, June 7th, 9 to noon at the Colton Trailhead. We will have educational booths there to inform you about our local wildlife. The event also includes a bike ride, a hike. There will be a horse-drawn wagon ride, even sweet cow ice cream will be there. And I hope to see you all there. Thank you for your time.
That was a quick transition.
You'll get all the OSAC people together. My name is Rita Traynor. I'm a resident of Superior, and I'm a member of OSAC. I'd like to start with addressing the acreage. You'd indicated that we have open space of 800 approximately. Since OSAC has been involved in trying to acquire space after the sales tax initiative was passed, 447 acres have been acquired. 165 of those 447 are owned by the county, not the town of Superior. The town of Superior owns 165 and has it designated as open space, and the remaining 21 acres are owned by the town of Superior, but they are not designated open space. I presume that the 800 acres that you were referring to is your totally open space, which means parks as well. Open Space Advisory Committee focuses on just open space natural. And maybe I'm splitting hairs, but that is one of the points tonight that I would like to mention. And this is me personally, my husband and I moved here from the Midwest when we retired, and we picked Superior because of the open space. That was our number one reason for moving to Superior. And when an opening occurred on the Open Space Advisory Commission, I applied within our first year of being here because that was it for us. In fact, I think my husband, if he weren't in the hospital, would have been here to this meeting tonight, and he doesn't come to these things. But the things that I personally would like to see is not open space recreation. I don't want to see anything built on here. As Kara and I, when we were discussing it, we'd like to see no structure bigger than a bathroom. That's certainly much less than what could be allowed under open space recreation. I'm concerned that larger structures could and would be constructed there if it's allowed that zoning. And if we have to go with recreational, and I understand you guys have put forth some very good ideas explaining why you think that's a viable option, I would like to ask that at a minimum, conditional uses are made where lighting and noise, which can have a negative impact on wildlife and their habitat, are restricted. And again, we have no structures bigger than a bathroom. And something like an outdoor fitness walk run would be fine, but it is the only remaining corridor that goes from east to west throughout the town that would enable us to have a true wildlife corridor. There is no other option. We don't have it, and around Coal Creek is not viable. There's housing there, and we're not going to ask people to tear down their homes, God forbid. But we also have people who live in the Town 15 area who went through Marshall Fire, and my husband and I are lucky our house was not damaged in the fire. We moved in time to be here, though. I think it seems really insensitive, and I don't mean to interview individually, I just mean it seems so insensitive when these people have gone through everything they have, and they're said, please, enough. I really hope that you can understand how important it is to the people who live adjacent to Town 15 and to even all of us who don't, because that is the one open area where we have a beautiful view of the Front Range in town. And it's the only one that everybody has access to. You take it away and we'll never get it back. Thank you.
Michael Hirschfeld, resident of Superior. Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. I stand before you all representing 300 plus families, residents, and citizens of the town of Superior whom have voiced their opinions, concerns, and wishes over the future of Town 15. As has been proposed, we are supportive of the rezoning application for Town 15, with the future potential being one of open space, recreation. The history of Town 15 from a building zoning perspective dates back close to 40 years, with this space remaining open land throughout, despite various proposals for its development. The citizens on numerous occasions have voiced their opinion, as far back as we can research to 2012, with citizens speaking externally to have Town 15 rezoned to non-residential or non-commercial use to ensure this parcel could be preserved. The Can-Wishers presented a petition in November of 2012 with over 100 signatures to oppose the rezoning to residential. Their representatives agreed, and the 2012 comprehensive plan left Town 15 as mixed use. 6 years later, a purchase proposal was voted down by the town council due to a citizen-sponsored survey that highlighted the citizens' wishes for this not to occur on this parcel. Since then, multiple town surveys have been dispatched to residents with commentary skewed to the side of maintaining Town 15 as open space. Fast forward to 2025, and as all should be aware, we have garnered the signatures of over 200 Superior families and presented those to the town council, requesting said rezoning to open space recreation. Just the other evening on the 29th of May, dozens, if not 100+ citizens attended your open house and once further made their sentiment known on their view of Town 15 remaining open space. The continued civic action of the residents here highlights the passion for Superior to remain one where government listens to its constituents and separately, a town that values open space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments? If there's no further comments from Town Hall, I'll look and see if there's anybody online. We have seven people online at the moment. If there's anybody online who would like to address this issue.
First on top.
Oh,
I just promoted you, Nina. You have to accept before you can speak. Oh. Okay. Does anyone else want to speak?
is Nina able to speak, or is she?
She declined my.
Okay. Is there anybody else online who would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand. Going once. Going twice. Okay, I think we're done.
Oh, okay. She's joining. Nina is. Sorry. Yeah, she accepted it this time. So Nina, you can, if you want to unmute yourself, you can speak. Maybe.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm using my wife's laptop, so that's why her name came up. This is her husband. Can I speak?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind saying your name and, yeah.
Sure. My name is Louis.
If you can turn on your video, we could even see you.
Really? Well,
Yes.
try that. Okay. I hope we're on.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Anyway, again, my name is Lou Frauenfelder. I live at 2951 Calmonte in Superior. My wife and I have lived here for 3.5 years, and we love the area. We moved from Boulder to escape the densification. And in this 3.5 years that we've been here, we've seen this community balloon into something that happened in Boulder, but not to the level that Boulder has seen. So what we would like to say is that we would like to see more open space. We would like to support more open space recreation. And I think that the commission should actually understand that if later on, if housing is allowed, whether it be apartment or residential, that because of the land usage in Superior, I would think that the city would have to apply different means to acquire land than just buying it. Like adverse.
Others.
I'm sorry, I'm missing a word, but anyway,
We appreciate step. That's it.
my wife is saying, get on with it. So anyway, thanks very much for listening to me. I do support the open space recreation petition that's going before you. So please vote on it positively. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll come back to town hall again and say, is there anybody else in town hall who would like to speak?
Oops, be careful.
Hearing none here and seeing no one else online raising their hand, I think I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing.
Do you have other questions for anyone? If you have more questions, you can ask more questions. Otherwise, you can close it. And then there's no more questions after you close the public hearing. And then you can talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. I guess I should ask Commission one last time. Do we have any more questions for Renee? No? No? In that case, I'll close the public hearing. Before I do, I'd like to thank you all for coming and all your comments. We appreciate the, now I'm missing a word, your dedication to this process. Thank you.
Don't leave.
Public
Unless you
hearing
wanted
is
to-
closed.
Not hear us.
Okay, discussion. Who would like to go first?
Well, I don't mind starting. I think it's, everybody's been talking about the comp plan process. And why is this now and why, David, you had asked to do the comp plan now 3 years ago.
No, 2019.
2019, 6 years ago. And so we've been trying to update the comp plan for the last 6 years. I know since I've been on the planning commission, every year we've tried to update the comp plan. This is a discussion about a topic that is long overdue. And had it come up in the process that we had hoped was going to happen 6 years ago or 4 years ago or 2 years ago, this discussion would not have come up in the sense of a rezoning. We would have been looking at this as part of the comprehensive plan. Unfortunately, it's still part of that process, and so now we are confronted with a discussion and a debate that some might still say we should discuss it as part of the comprehensive plan as we go forward, but it's still something that this commission was going to talk about at some point. And so tonight is one of those some points, and we can discuss it as part of this particular application. And some might say we should wait until part of the comp plan, but it's still going to be discussed. It's still going to be part of the discussion. And so that while the timing might not have otherwise come at the time we were looking at the big picture, it's still part of the process that we would have been looking at. So I just wanted to say that because it's important that everybody knows that this was something that we were going to look at. It's just that we've got to look at it in a smaller piece than part of the bigger piece. Having said that, we as a planning commission have a responsibility to not only look at this particular rezoning application, but look at the idea of what is the appropriate land use for not just the town, but in this case, this particular piece of property. And well, we look at land uses, and I appreciate, and that's why I asked Renee about those scenarios. I believe that it is not our responsibility, nor even perhaps even within our purview, to look at the economics of it. I think it's the town council's decision-making process which determines whether something is sellable or not sellable, or usable in a particular way. And the fact that this has come to us as part of a proposal to do with land use is the thing that we should be looking at. Is this an appropriate land use that we as a planning commission are going to recommend that the town council adopt? Then, and they can make decisions and they can have discussions as to whether or not the economic viability is there. That's not something for us to be looking at. It's not something that we've ever looked at in the years that I've been on the planning commission. We are an advisory board, and although we hold a special role as an advisory board because certain things have to come through us before it gets to town council, before that town board, and certain things have to be voted on us, by us. I also think that we have a responsibility to the community. And when I hear that the plan 4 years ago suggested that this be open space recreation, and when I hear that OSAC is very interested in this, and we went to last week's session, last week's session and saw all the people who turned out, that we have a responsibility to listen to the community. And to determine what the appropriate land use is for the community, which is the town of Superior. Got a lot of emails, some in favor, some against. But I think as a planning commission, we have a responsibility to listen to the community. And I think that the community has spoken. And in my view, the community has spoken in terms of open space recreational and to approve the rezoning application.
Who would like to go next? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. It seems like it's overwhelmingly some sort of open space should be there. It sounds like the only difference is if it should be natural or recreational. And I think for me personally, just based on how I've thought about how the town is kind of lacking some recreational needs, I think that would be a better use than just natural. This is from someone who went to an environmental college, so I love the environment, don't get me wrong. I think there should be a corridor on there for some sort of, like a easement for a wildlife corridor. But I think the thing that would behoove the community the most, especially its neighbors, would be of an open space recreational need. Because, I know personally, it's odd that as a town as big as us and one that has as many people who are sports or recreationally minded, that they have to go to the town next door to use some sort of facility sometimes. So I think that kind of also makes sense to use as a future use for it. And again, I think there was a lot of talk about the money that could be possibly made off of it, but what are you saving all that money for if it's not to advance the community? And I think this would be something that would advance the community, keeping it open. So that's kind of how I'm thinking.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, I think my preference would be that it's open space rec. But I don't think it's my preference that we're supposed to be looking at. And this is where I kind of disagree with Lonnie a little bit, is that I think we're supposed to look at what the ordinance says, and it says we should be looking at the comprehensive plan. It doesn't say that, okay, you had 4 years because you couldn't do it, or 6 years or whatever, because I've been on the planning commission all of those years we've been trying to do it. And it says to look at the comprehensive plan. And right now, to me, the comprehensive plan in its current state doesn't tell us to leave that open space. I think eventually the new comprehensive plan probably will. I'm not sure, but I think this is jumping the gun by 6 months to 9 months. Because I think, again, as I read, our job isn't to put our personal views in, isn't to look at the money side of it. I agree, because money-wise, I think Ann put together the best proposal tonight, is that we should look for outside funds to try to support, to get some money for this. And I love that idea. I never thought about that. So I think that's a great idea. But I think all of these should come back to, again, I'm reading off of page 5 from the proposal that was sent out, or from the notes that were sent out to us. And I think we need to look at the current comprehensive plan, not what might be or what we think is gonna, and look at that as guidance. And that's what I will do. So I will say no to this, even though I think longer term it will come. But I hope that they listen. I hope the town council heard what Ann said, and we figure out a creative way to get paid for some of this land, because there are uses, hopefully, that we can get paid for and still maintain open space. So, so that's how I think about it. So,
Ryan?
I'm aligned with, obviously, it's not a question in front of us of the economics of the property. I think when we are looking at ultimately, what we have to make the decision, even in the slide deck, one of the things referenced was the comprehensive plan. And which one? The one we're developing, or the one that is a little outdated? That is difficult in timing to make this decision, and therefore I'm glad you brought up that the timing is awkward, and it's important for a town that has had trouble making decisions on this property to have situations like this to react and to get the input that we often don't get. If I were to look at the existing comprehensive plan from 2012, I don't think this application meets the needs of that plan. If I'm to look to what we know is being drafted and we are currently in conversations about as a community, I might be leaning that way, but that's just not what's in front of us at the moment. I can't imagine that I would be able to align with an open space Rex at this moment.
I was just going to go down the line.
Go ahead. So I am not leaning towards rezoning this, because I feel like that's spending $30 million of the town's money that's in the general fund. And I don't think I don't think we can go and do that. I think that would require a vote you know, we voted to buy Coyote Ridge for how many $1 million?
15.
15. This is twice that. I don't think we can just rezone it and be like, oh, let's spend that, because this, to me, this is money in the town's bank. They have this property that's worth $30 million. I don't think we can just, right now, spend that. As far as I've seen, I've been looking on Facebook, what people are saying, the emails, everything. I think there's a lot of confusion on what Town 15 is, what the outline is for it, because I've had a lot of people say, oh yes, around that river, the wetlands, it needs to be open space. And I'm going, that is open space. Like, that's not Town 15. So a lot of people that are saying we need to keep it open space are actually talking about something that already is open space and not the actual Town 15. This, like I said, on the pros master plan, people are reading that results how they want. Option A was open space / undeveloped. Like I said, when I voted for it, I was voting for us not making a decision and kicking that down the road. And so I think, yes, we should wait. I mean, this may, you know, everyone may want to make this open space, but I don't think that we're there yet. I don't think that the comprehensive plan has gone through. I don't think a lot of people understand that they're spending $30 million of the town's money. I don't think that people even understand where the limits of Town 15 are, or that it's already zoned to be a lot of open space. I mean, I definitely want there to be a buffer, there to be raptor corridor, so it's connected, but that doesn't have to be the whole thing. And already in the zoning, it says like 30–40%. I think we really need to go through the steps of the planning, the new master plan, really decide exactly, you know, say what this is, where, you know, educate people, understand all the impacts, and then give our recommendations and then work on that. I don't think we can just push this through quickly before the master plan. I think that would do a disservice to our town. And I'm done now.
Thank you. Anne?
Well, I agree with a lot of things that Amanda just said. I have tremendous concerns about taking a pause from the comprehensive plan process, which is designed to be comprehensive in terms of look at land use, look at transportation, look at a variety of other issues, economic development, all simultaneously, and decide as a community, what are our priorities? What are the trade-offs? What will sustain the town demographically, economically, all kinds of issues. I love open space. It concerns me that so much of the work, survey work and other work that comes, engagement through the town, is taken on one topic at a time. I think if we ask the community, do you want open space? Yes, that's like asking a kid, do you want ice cream? We all love open space. We also, as a community, really value our schools. And one of the trade-offs when we look at land use is how can we welcome more young families with children to fill the schools that have declining enrollment? And I'm not saying that has to happen on Town 15, but I do believe it is a priority for the town. It is something that the council has voted on as far as, I believe we have a, all new development needs to have a 15% affordable housing provision. I believe we've made commitments to the state to provide a certain number of affordable housing units on a certain timetable. I want to say we promised 22 units at the next milestone. I think it's really important that we allow the process to play out. We've started listening to our residents around land use and other topics regarding the comprehensive plan. I think it's completely unfair to take a major parcel off the table before we finish that discussion. And I do think we need to consider the economic implications of a piece of property that may be valued at $30 million, and just how can we use that to our advantage? So I am not prepared to rezone this in any way at this time.
Mike?
I think I'm going to have to hire Ann as my spokesperson. I pretty much agree with all the points Ann said, and clearly other members of the commission and the public as well. A lot of great points have been made and definitely input that should be taken into account when we look at Town 15. But I share a couple of the board members' opinions that it's really premature to look at this now without looking at the whole picture in Superior, and rather than repeat some things others said, some facts here. We've got 80 acres of land in the opportunity areas we're rating. So to take 15 acres of those off the table now without anything it just seems, we shouldn't do that yet. Maybe it's the right thing, but I don't know. On housing, a couple things there. I mean, that's what Ann alluded to. That's an issue that a lot of people in Superior have mentioned of concerns about. We just don't have inexpensive housing anymore. I mean, I don't know if 2012, I don't think the housing costs were as bad as they are now. And so now we're missing middle housing, we're missing starter homes, senior housing, affordable housing, workforce housing. So all these categories of homes that are less expensive than what we have now in the mix. And affordable housing, a whole nother issue in terms of the town's goal for how many units we have. But of those 80 acres, I mean, once we look at the fact if residential goes on one of those, 35 to 45% of it's going to go to open space with the town code. So we really don't have a lot of land left if we're going to provide a lot of housing. So, I mean, again, I don't know the answer right now, but I think it's premature to make a decision now. Oh, and I did think of one other fact on schools. We got some emails about looking at this. So I looked at the BVSD website. So for the elementary school at El Dorado K-8, the enrollment there in about 10 years ago was like 560 students enrolled. Now it's like 280. So I think others have alluded to the fact that we don't have as many kids around and school enrollment's down. But that's a pretty sobering fact that what could happen there if we don't have younger families with kids. So I think, again, these are all the issues we face as we look at what to do with all the different opportunities, or make recommendations on what to do with the opportunity areas. And at this point, I just don't think I know enough to say yes to make Town 15 open space at this point.
Can I just make some additional comments?
Sure.
Just the thing with the school enrollment, the numbers are dwindling because of the open enrollment in BVSD. It's not necessarily that there aren't kids here. It's the fact that people can send their kids where they want to go.
Look at the data on the website. You'll see it's not just here.
No, yes, because they send them to certain schools. The thing is, it was meant to be done for equity, but the thing is, people in communities such as ours, which are affluent, are the ones who can send their kids out. It's one of the things why one of the main things with, say, Superior Elementary is they want their enrollment going up. It's all about enrollment numbers and getting people from other communities. So it isn't necessarily just that families aren't moving here. It's the fact that we are able to send our kids out of here, especially when you go to the older grades, because with El Dorado, they also have, was that 6th and 7th grade?
BK8.
Yeah, but those older grades, they can start then deciding to send them to schools in Boulder and doing stuff like that. So you'll have people who send their kids to Fairview. You'll have kids who send them to the other ones. So it's not necessarily just we aren't having kids come here. Again, as someone with kids, we want parks. If we have kids, just saying. And then the other thing is just another comment that keeps coming up is about the master plan, or the wording was to go back to the master plan and do that, but the wording in it actually says, or an approved usage. Is this not the method to make this an approved usage? I'm like asking seriously.
You can't ask Renee.
But like,
He's raising the question.
the question, like, is this not, according to the people sitting up here, not out there, aren't we supposed to weigh in to make it an approved usage? Not just sit back and be like, well, someone wrote this in 2012, out of my hands. When it specifically says in the future, it can be approved something else. So I think that is just a way to, everyone likes to kick the can, as seems to be the term for the day. And I think the other thing is everyone's like, well, the master plan is coming, it's coming, it's coming. Obviously, the town board was listening to its constituents. They are like, enough people are telling us that they want this done, let's have it brought up. So it's not that the town council is just like, we should just wait on this until the master plan happens. Maybe they want to get it in there on the book before the master plan happens, so it shows that they are listening to the people in the town. Because it does seem overwhelmingly the members of the town want some sort of open space. And truly, if you don't agree with that in the future, just change it in the master plan. But as of now, it seems overwhelmingly open space is preferred of some sort. And it does sound like A was the top winner, but this is still an open space, which I think provides more opportunities for more people in the town to use. And again, I am also not discrediting the wildlife in their town as not being a part of it, because I mean, that's one of the things that everyone here loves, is the fact that you can walk outside and see natural environment. End of rant for now.
You want to talk, or you want me to, you want to talk last?
I'm happy to talk last. I usually like to talk last.
Okay, well then I'll say something and then you can
Mike,
talk last.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry, there you go.
So I appreciate the fact that this is coming up earlier than we had anticipated, this discussion. We had anticipated that we were going to be just talking about TAN 15, certainly in connection with all of the comprehensive plan. But it's come up now. And so I really appreciate the viewpoint that that we have to look at 2012, 13 years ago, and the one that's sort of on the books. But we were developing the books. We were coming forward with a comprehensive plan that would have come before us sometime later, hopefully sometime this summer, so that it can go before the town council in the fall. This is just one piece of it, as I mentioned before, that has come up earlier. And so I'm just simply suggesting that if you were thinking that this piece of property, Town 15, was something that you would consider to be part of open space recreation in August, I'm suggesting that now is August. David.
I think Steve is going to say
Yeah,
something.
I appreciate what you're saying, Lonnie, but I think Ann said it really well in that if we don't think about these things holistically, and think about where do we spend this money, and I don't think it's our job to think about the money. I think it is the town council's, but I think hopefully they're listening to what we're saying. And I think we do have to say, is this money, should we get, and we're probably not going to get $30 million for that land, right? So we're not going, but are we going to get $3, $5, $10 million that could further something, affordable housing could further something else? And it's a trade-off. And the comprehensive plan is supposed to take all of those pieces together. And if we pull one piece out of this, then it hurts the ability to do maybe some of the other pieces. And that's the purpose of doing a comprehensive plan, not a comprehensive plan that does 80% because we just stole 20% out of it. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know what the right answer is, but I think it's comprehensive for a reason, so. And also, the wildlife corridor, I live right there. There is a wildlife corridor that goes from open space under Colton Road, right through open space out. And so there's gonna be an open corridor there, and there is, trust me, I live there, there's coyotes, there's snakes, everything goes through that area. So there will always be an open space corridor there.
One more question. Sorry.
Okay.
So now I just forgot what I was gonna say. Just, so if we're saying we're waiting till a comprehensive plan is done for this, do we take nothing else to the town until that's done? Or is it only an exception for this property?
Like what?
Because you're saying we can't rezone this because the comprehensive plan's coming. Well, any other rezoning then, under that theory, shouldn't be dealt with.
No, I mean, you have to look to the code. She presented the ordinance and the code that said, here's what you need to do to look at. Not everything that we see goes by that. So
But-
I think the answer is no to your question.
But I think that goes along to the point where it says, unless it's an approved usage. So that means we can't approve anything until the master plan goes through?
I don't think it's up to us to approve stuff.
I would think none of the opportunity areas that are listed in the,
Right.
we wouldn't rezone any of the opportunity areas that are listed in the master plan.
Why is it only the opportunity areas? Why isn't it that piece of property that's coming up before rezoning at the next meeting?
Or the one last meeting?
Or the one last meeting?
It's just because this one needs a budgetary value, so what's the least amount
Because
of
we-
money that you care about?
Because it's partly because the lot Q is actually private property. It's not town property.
But all of
It's
this,
also very small by comparison.
So
with
what's
the-
big enough to count?
but where does it say in either the ordinances or the existing comprehensive plan that we're only dealing with town property?
I don't want to cut people off, but this is becoming kind of repetitive.
I was just gonna say, the opportunity areas are both private and, I mean, Town 15's really, but.
It's the only.
If you looked at the 2012 plan, they listed quite a few opportunity areas, but it wasn't like one vacant lot sitting somewhere. It was, and like the one we just did was like one that was burnt down with the fire, and it wasn't an original opportunity area.
But I appreciate it, but just because it's labeled an opportunity area doesn't mean that that limits us on what we are permitted to do.
I don't think you folks are saying anything new.
Okay, I'm tapping out.
Fair enough.
Yep.
David,
I'm done. Yep.
you're done. You're up.
Okay. I mean, I sympathize with most of the things that have been said on both sides of this argument. The current PROS plan was written back in 2021. At that time, the appraised value of Town 15 was about $1 million, actually slightly less. If you go back into the record, into the Boulder County records. If it was still $1 million, I'd vote for this in a heartbeat. It wouldn't take me a second. The fact that it's increased to $30 million, and I find that over a period of 4 years extraordinary, even allowing for land values here, is something that I honestly don't feel that I can ignore. The town allegedly owns Town 15, but really it's holding it in trust for all 13,000 residents. If I met one who asked me why I voted to rezone this lot without knowing what the value proposition is, I don't know what the answer would be. I think this proposal is simply premature, and actually, I've sent the town manager a message to that effect. I don't know why town pushed this forward without considering what the alternatives were. I completely agree that it's the town council's business to decide what their capital investments are going to be, but I think we should be much more aware of what the capital expenditure requirements are before we send them a vote to rezone a property that, if it was rezoned, would cost the town $30 million. So I also think that I actually disagree with staff. I think that we do live under the existing comp plan until the new comp plan is done. The new comp plan is supposed to be finished in, I think, October, maybe November. It's a comp plan. It may drift to December or January. I don't think there's any reason for making this decision now. This property has been zoned the way it is for over 30 years, being zoned the way it is for another 6 months, while we get more information, not just from the good people who are here in the hall tonight, but from those who become aware of what's happening through the comp plan process will really do it anyhow. And therefore, much as I'm sorry about it, I think I have to vote against this too. Is there any further discussion? In that case, I think the next thing to do is to move ahead to a vote. Renee, would you like to have a roll call?
Well, let me, I have to do one thing here. So, I move resolution number PC-3 Series 2025, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending approval of an application amending the Rock Creek Ranch Plan Development to remove town-owned property and rezone the property from PD Plan Development to OSR Open Space and Recreation for Town 15, case number RZN-2025-02.
Thank you, Lonnie. I wasn't reading my own public hearing procedure. Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second.
Okay. In that case, I think we can proceed to a vote.
Chairman Harper,
No.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
No.
Commissioner Whitty,
No.
Commissioner Barnes,
No.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Mojo,
No.
Commissioner Shanahan.
No.
It does not pass. It's a vote of 2 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7 to 2, I think, isn't it?
6 to 2.
6 to
One
2.
person.
6 to 2 and one's off. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I was worried about that.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your.
I'd like to know the answer.
I started missing, and I was like, this is heated, and we could split.
Okay.
First discussions that wasn't really clear.
We have updates.
We have the public, the discussion on this subject is over, but I think we have a couple more items on the agenda.
If you want to stay for our update, you can.
They're really excited.
Come back in 6 months with more numbers.
And see that they are open space natural, right?
They probably won't be very long. I don't understand what
Of course, we're going to be at the dinner before town council discusses this. So
Yes.
we get to even discuss it more.
Well, I suggested that to Matt Magley, and I'm going to suggest it again.
So you can all stew.
No,
I try not to.
no. I didn't sleep particularly well last night, to be honest, but
Lately, I just get so tired of it.
I don't even have 3 kids at home to give me an excuse. Okay. Moving right along, updates, dinner with the town council.
Yes, we have dinner with the council next Monday. I didn't get additional stuff from you. I mean, I know we want to talk about the comprehensive plan. We want to talk about the open house. We won't have any like statistics from the open house. I've got some photos.
I don't know whether we would be able to actually have this discussion with town council in something that's not a public meeting. My guess is not.
No.
To the extent we can discuss the process, which we have just gone through, I would actually like to discuss the process because I think it's rather poor. Is that possible, or would that run the risk of just, it would be very difficult to stick with the process?
Yeah, I'm not sure we could, like, I don't know that it would be appropriate to talk about the, well, I don't,
Is dinner, that's not a public meeting.
it is not a public meeting.
Are you sure?
but-
It's televised. The open space had a.
It is televised, so it's like, it's recorded, but it's not a public hearing. We don't hear we don't hear public comment during
I think
the
the issue is that
conversation.
there'd be three of us there talking about it, and there'd be three of them there talking about it, and I don't think
Yeah, we
can
don't,
do
we
that.
can't talk, especially that is something that they'll be hearing that evening during a
exactly.
public hearing. So I suggest that if you want to talk about the process and your concerns on the application, you come to dinner, we'll talk about comp plan stuff and what the comp plan is doing, and then you can comment during the public
Public
comment
hearing in the
at the
board meeting.
hearing, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from we haven't been doing very much apart from the comprehensive plan this year. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss with town council while we're there?
Are there any more properties coming up?
So we have the, I mean, the Guardian Storage annexation and zoning is
June
coming
17th.
on June 17th. And then after that, it's just a comprehensive plan for a while, as far as I know, until I get given something else that I don't know is coming yet.
Actually, one of the things that I'll call this item A1 since we're discussing it. We haven't had really an update on the comp plan since February the 4th.
Correct.
If you could I wouldn't mind using that. I'm sure the town council would be interested. If you would like to give us an update then on what's been happening, where it stands, I'd be very interested in I'd be particularly interested in things in if they have any economic data for how the marketplace is doing. To get into this in a little more depth than it was available on the slides on February the 4th, because I remember from the previous, the Northwest Sub-Area Plan, there were all kinds of projections that the traffic in the marketplace was going to decline. There were going to be much more stores along 36. I'd be interested to know if that's true. Are they still projecting that? Things that would actually affect how we looked at the outcome of whatever is produced by the Cushing Terrell, and also who's the company doing the transportation?
Fox Tuttle.
Fox Tuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, an update with more. I guess what I'm saying is, I kind of like the idea that you're speaking.
So an update on not the transportation, on the comprehensive plan from our consulting team is coming probably in July. Right now, I tentatively have it on like the council's schedule in July, so I assume that I will put it on yours in July also. And that would be from the consulting team and not just from me. So that's my plan currently.
Well, if
We
you
can, and we don't have, so
I'm going to twist your arm. If you can give us a sneak preview, that would be perfectly fine. In fact, I'd like a sneak preview.
we are, I don't know what they're working on with regards to the information that was gathered during the open house, because we've been discussing whether or not we want to compile that information in advance of opening and closing online surveys related to the same questions, because I don't want to give, I don't want to give information away before we receive everyone's opinions on the information that we're asking for opinions on.
But things like the economic I mean, in the 2012 plan, there are lots of pages in appendices that talk about what I just mentioned, for instance, the economic outlook for the marketplace. That's got to be covered in whatever they're going to present to us eventually. They've obviously been gathering data for the last 4 months.
So the existing conditions had some of that, but we already went through that and it's available. We can re-look at some of the existing conditions, but I don't think that's really what you're asking. You're wanting, and I don't think we have, there is no draft yet. And so I actually, yes, you're right, they're working on it, but I haven't seen anything for that.
Ask them for it?
We have goals, for the economic development section that were on the boards that we're asking for feedback on.
You did?
I'll see, yes. So there were goals for economic development for that chapter. But I'll look and see if there's any, what updates they might have from that side of things.
Because otherwise we're going to end up talking about what a dreadful year the Rockies are having. And
They might have won tonight. Yeah, they were leading. Yeah, they won tonight.
That was a longer conversation.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I mean, it can also be organic at the meeting. We could start with the comprehensive plan and see where it goes. I assume that's.
I would like to talk about just what's going on in downtown with the pizza place and the food
Yes.
That's
hall
right.
and all
Okay.
that stuff.
good thought.
And
Good thought.
they broke ground, but are they actually putting piles in? I mean, I'm kind of,
They will be
structural engineers
They
looking.
will be shortly. They will be shortly.
So, was the engagement session on transportation videoed?
Yes,
Is it posted?
yes.
Because I was looking for it and up until, I think, Thursday, and I hadn't seen it.
Go to Shape Superior has them.
But, okay, I will look again.
I looked at Shape Superior and I missed it too.
You can find them on YouTube as well,
Oh,
Yes.
okay, good, thank you.
on the town YouTube site.
The chances
you,
of me
Nancy.
finding it on YouTube are actually less than the chances of me
So
finding it on
if you
Shape
search for the town's website on YouTube, then they're posted on, I will send you links. Thank you. Great suggestion.
I'm sorry.
It's what my kids do. It's what my
Transportation
kids do once I can't find out.
I got it, thank you. It was, I don't know when it was added, but it's now on there.
I
we
need some
do have-
grandchildren to educate me on this.
We have the cultural intelligence one this Thursday. If they are available, please come.
I think that works.
Otherwise, it will also be posted sometime afterwards on YouTube and on Shape Superior, as well as the economic development one on June 12th, next Thursday.
And did I hear you say that results of the open house yet haven't been compiled and we don't expect to see them before Monday?
That's correct.
Okay.
I am posting surveys and more information on the website so that we can get people who were unable to come to the open house to provide feedback if they wish to.
Good. I was just going to ask about how people should provide input.
Yes, they should go to Shape Superior later this week. It should have been Monday, but I didn't get it there. It's not done yet. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. But it will be available for comment later this week, hopefully tomorrow, if not the next day, for people to make, and then obviously the communications team will send out notices that if you missed the open house, you can now take surveys on Shape Superior. As soon as that's done, they will send those notices. Then we will hopefully get more people to comment online, and then we will compile all of the comments for you all after that.
It would be helpful. I mean, I know in the first survey, I think there was something like 169 responses, which sounds like a lot, but is actually a tiny fraction of the people who could respond. I mean, is there any way of encouraging more people to respond? I mean, I know when...
I think that's the topic of one of the speaker series, is how to get more engagement. Was I reading that correct?
The cultural intelligence, yes. That is this one on Thursday. Maybe they will have some great ideas for us.
And hopefully it'll be well attended.
I would love for it to be well attended. It's been light attendance, but people have been viewing them online. So if you look at the online views, there are more. And I plan on using them in the future for like, when we get asked questions. I think they'll be really useful in the future because they have some great information, for better or worse, if you like it or not, at least it's something not coming from staff, that comes from experts in their fields on how and why they do things the way they do them. You may not disagree with how they do them, but at least you can hear from them how they do it and not from me how I perceive that they do things.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments? Any more questions? No, I don't want to ask about questions. Any more comments?
I had one general, and I think Lonnie brought it up before, on the Guardian annexation. I do feel the same way about it as I do for Town 15. It's premature to make a decision on that for the zoning without looking at the big picture and seeing what else we're...
But can we annex it without zoning it?
That wasn't the, I think the ask was annex and zone it.
That will be next on the 17th.
All right.
Have
the general
that
comment. I think that's the same category.
Okay. I think I've got to the point where the only thing left to do is adjourn. We're adjourned.
Stop! Put us out of our misery.
So, they're emailing us.